We're at the Assistant Town Manager, Tom Lynch, and we're doing as we do every time there's a Town Council meeting, talking about the issues that will be coming up before the Town Council. One of the questions that may come up before the Council is the issue of early retirement. My first question to you is, will this come up for a vote tonight, or is this the first reading?
There will be this will be a public hearing, and it could be acted upon.
Tell us, please, about the early retirement system that the state has offered to all cities and towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And tonight, or actually Thursday night, the Council may vote on this. How is this different, and what is it, please?
This is a tool that was passed by the legislature, and it can be adopted at local option. And what you had to do is you have to file with the state to say, here's what our plan is, here's how we'd use this tool. It's been anticipated that there may be layoffs in various communities because of the downturn in the economy that we've been experiencing over the last couple of years. So this is an effort to help folks who may be close to retirement to add either 3 years to their age or 3 years to the years of service, which could impact and make the transition from employment to retirement, a little easier. In Barnstable, we put together a plan that would accommodate perhaps up to 15 individuals, but we're not in that same situation. We're expecting, a large number of layoffs. It's just that for certain people this might work. Now, this is a strict early retirement incentive, and if someone leaves, you can only replace up to 30% of their combined salary. So another way to look at it, almost if you let 10 people go, you could replace 3. Even if we're given this control by the council, the town manager could still have individuals who apply for it, but because it's a position that we'd need to fill, we might not be able to accommodate the request. So it's one more tool, if you will, just to help us as we look at balancing the budget.
But this one is a little more restrictive.
That's right. But once again, generally when someone retires after many years of service, you're hiring someone in at a lower level, and therefore there's a cost savings to that, and you move on. Or it's a situation where you don't need to necessarily replace it. That background noise you hear, Len, or our viewers may hear, that's the ongoing work that's happening with the renovation of the town hall. That's brickwork they're working on right now to try to plug the various leaks and whatever, and the roof is just about finished, and they're going to start on window replacement. So I don't know how this is going to sound over the air, but we've been putting up with this for several months now.
Under new business, the issue of tax classification is going to come up again, Tom. And under the rules of the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, every year the council or the legislative body of the town and cities has to vote on this. Why is it important that it gets voted on every year?
Well, because you're setting the tax levy, you're looking at how the total tax number that's collected, and then how it's distributed across commercial and residential properties. So every year you look at that to decide whether you're going to have what they call a factor of 1, where you use the same tax rate for commercial that you use for and business that you use for residential. And so the legislative body each year can decide how they want to allocate that. Over the last few years, we've been doing the factor of 1. Jeff Rudziak, our director of assessing, will be there to explain, the various options that the councils have. In some years, this has been controversial, and there have been large hearings this year. It seems that there hasn't been any great movement for change, but I never want to predict what's going to happen. That's up to the councils to debate and decide. The one that they always look at is whether or not there'll be a residential exemption offered. And you still have the same amount of tax revenue that you have to raise. So what that does, if you offer a residential exemption, it means that individuals who have a value of a home under a certain level will receive a benefit benefit, and then there's a break-even point. And I believe this year, if they offered the 20% residential exemption, it's when a property is close to almost 700,000 in the mid 600,000. So it's the break-even point, and that's the segment of the population that has a higher, bears a higher burden of the residential tax rate. So, but it'll be, as always, somewhat. I'm sure a lot of questions, and then the councils will probably act on it Thursday night.
Sure, as they always do. The other issue that's coming up before the town council is the recurring issue, and I hope that we don't have to use it, and it deals with an appropriation for snow and ice removal. And again, we do that every year.
And this is the only account we were allowed to run a deficit account. So what we normally do is appropriate, as this ordinance calls for, about $600,000. If we overspend that, we're still allowed to spend it, even though we know it's in a deficit. And if we end up in a deficit with that account at the start of the next fiscal year, it comes off of the. That's the first bill that needs to be paid come July 1st. So we've been spending. Last year was a difficult year. Spent I think about over $1 million, and but we're hoping that we have a mild Cape Cod winter and we don't have to. But that's in there. Another item that is up for discussion. There'll be two items actually before we even get into the old and new business. The NSTAR will be here to talk about plans they have for a possible expansion of a substation in Barnstable, and there'll be just an explanation of where that might be, see what sort of council questions might be there before they begin the public hearing process, and perhaps more importantly to the councilors themselves will be the reorganization of the council. There'll be the nomination of the council president and vice president. Sometimes they take that after those nominations. They might deal with it directly on Thursday night or put it off till the meeting on December 16th. So that'll determine the leadership for the next 2 years.
Now, Mark Mill is going to be making a presentation, and it deals with the administrative code. And I think earlier you used the words, this is kind of a housekeeping detail. Could you tell us a little bit about the administrative code and what Mark Mill would like to see changed?
Well, it's housekeeping in that they'd be changing when he could refinance or pay off bonds, and it's more or less an effort to take advantage of lower bond rates that are out there, so that we can try to save the town money when we go out to float bonds. Oh, and we have one in place if we want to pay it off, that there's a certain trigger on your return where you would enter into paying that bond off.
One of the other issues that's coming up before the town council is the issue of appointing people to various committees, commissions, and boards. And the council is going to be looking at some people and making some presentations on who might be available to offer their services to our town.
Yeah, we have two items to discuss. One is reappointments, individuals who are currently serving on the planning board or some other board, and they've served well, and the appointments committee of the town council is recommending reappointment. And then there are new people who the planning board is one, where there'd be a new individual coming on board, and individuals can go to the website, see an application there, do it right online, and put their name in for a board that they might be interested in. They're always looking for good people. There's a brief interview process where they'll go through, and there are more than one or two people that would like to serve on one of our regulatory or advisory boards. And we have well over 40, so we're constantly looking for good people.
Thank you very much. Tom Lynch, Assistant Town Manager.